Here to witness the celebration of Shakespeare's birth anniversary through a performance put together by the 4th Sem students. A much awaited event. We are eagerly looking forward to it. I congratulate the girls for the initiative and the efforts. Shakespeare is an indispensable part of our lives as students and teachers of English. A tribute to his eternal legacy evokes the indelible mark he has left on us. One cannot but quote Ben Jonson: "He was not of an age, but for all time." I hand over the stage to our students. All the best, girls.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Postgraduate Department of English, Diamond Harbour Women's University, me, Tuancholi Panda, would like to welcome you and convey my heartfelt thanks for your gracious presence. Today, we have gathered here to celebrate the 458th birth anniversary of William Shakespeare. We could not celebrate his birthday on the exact day, that is on 23rd April, for some unavoidable circumstances. So, we will make most of today and observe the day as beautifully as possible. It is just next to impossible to uphold the enormous world of his writings within the short time span. So, we will be trying to commemorate this great bird with some glimpses of his magnum opus creations. Now, I would request Professor Dr. Aparajita Hajra ma'am to deliver a speech on today's topic.
Well, thank you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, Tanjali. And a very big thank you to all of you for putting all this together. It's a wonderful initiative. Now, since I have been asked to say a few words, I'll just, the year round, all the year round, we have been talking and teaching about Shakespeare. So I don't think I'll take too much time today because I'm sure that you are waiting with bated breath for the performances that are coming up. But just a few words, as Anjali asked me to say. When we talk about Shakespeare, one enigmatic factor that happens with Shakespeare is that uh, many of his dramas, they lack the foul copies. Now, what are the foul copies? The foul copies are those copies or those write-ups, that the poet or the playwright writes with his own hand, So they are full of blots of ink. They are not very clean. And then it is given to a scribe or a scrivener. There were lots of people like Ralph Crane. So they would write it out in a proper way. Now, when we talk about Shakespeare, and not just Shakespeare, when we talk about most of the Renaissance playwrights, like your Jacobean playwrights or the Elizabethan playwrights, the problem is that we do not have the foul copies. So we do not know, the foul copies only start after the Caroline age. The only few foul copies, as far as Gregg and W. Gregg or Connickman says, it's probably only Marlowe who has a foul copy of your this massacre at Paris. Otherwise, we don't have any foul copies of Shakespeare, regrettably. So it's very difficult to understand how much Shakespeare himself had written and how much was interpolated. So that is an enigmatic factor that is always plaguing the Shakespeare actors like you. Now, what we need to understand while acting Shakespeare out is that I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the one thing that is very problematic as far as acting Shakespeare is concerned, is that Shakespeare didn't write any stage directions, right? When you take a look at Bernard Shaw, or when you take a look at, say, probably John Osborne, or any modernist or postmodernist playwright, they have elaborate stage directions. So you know where to stand, how to talk, whom to address, but Shakespeare doesn't give you any stage directions. The problem is, so you have to take the clues from here and there and understand who was saying what or who was doing what. Like suppose you're doing King Lear, right? So there is this part in King Lear, the drama, where Cordelia and King Lear are standing face to face, and Cordelia says, "No, sir, you shall not kneel." So when Cordelia says that, then by back calculation you understand that King Lear must have been kneeling in front of her. Or when in the witches scene, I have seen the beautifully done up witches over here. In the witches scene, when Banquo and Macbeth are standing there and the witches are giving their prophecy, Banquo suddenly says, "Good sir, why do you start? Why do you seem to be scared?" Then you understand that so Macbeth must have been startled. Macbeth must have started. So those are the clues that you have to take and gather from Shakespeare, the different speeches of Shakespeare, and then understand the entire procedure of how it was going about. Now, the problem with Shakespeare's time was that when Shakespeare was acting, when Shakespeare's plays were being acted in his time, tell me one thing: stage props were not there, sound effects were not there. So suppose you're going to do the witches scene where there is thunder, the blast of thunder. How do you get that to be? So I read it somewhere, I don't remember where, but they took a big cannonball and backstage they rolled it back and forth and back and forth, and the grating noise that the cannonball would make, that was a substitute for thunder. So that was how the Shakespearean actors in those days used to act out Shakespeare. Now today we have any kind of sound at the click of a button, so it's much easier that way. On top of that, if Shakespeare was basically writing for the Globe Theatre, the Rose, the Swan. Now, at times, the Globe Theatre would often stage 6 shows per week. So it was tight. So there was no time for rehearsal. And on top of that, paper was very expensive. So it's not like you could just hand around screenplays to everybody. So you had to jostle and push each other to get a copy of that paper or write it down. On top of that, candles were expensive. So you could not really leave the rehearsals for the night time. You had to do whatever rehearsal during the daytime as long as daylight lasted. In Shakespeare's time, there was no concept of what we know today as the fourth wall. What is the concept of the fourth wall? The fourth wall is that, this is wall number 1, wall number 2, wall number 3, and the fourth wall is the invisible wall that stays there between the actors and the audience. But in Shakespeare's time, the audience was a different ballgame, weren't they? So there were the groundlings, and they were the penny people. They would just buy a ticket with a penny. And so, they would want their money's worth. So they would oftentimes, push against each other. They would run around in the pit, trying to get a better look at what was happening, trying to listen better, So that was there. The audience was different. The sound effects were not there. On top of that, rehearsals were tight. So all those difficulties were there. And yet Shakespearean plays made a name for themselves, And Shakespeare tried to ease it out as much as possible, of course, because when he was writing his plays, he would take note of how to write. Oh, sorry about my voice. I have a terrible cough. So he would take note about where the actors needed to breathe. That's why you find a lot of ellipses, like it where becomes twere, overstep becomes o'step. So that, the rhyming, he was fond of writing in iambic pentameter. You know what iambic pentameter is, right? So why don't you go outside and grab a cake? That is iambic pentameter. Shakespeare was very fond of writing in that. And on top of that, he used assonances, you used consonances, which should be there in the pronunciation when you're doing Shakespeare. And another thing, I won't take much more time. I'm just going to step down. Just one more thing. Shakespeare had a very nice use of prose and poetry. I wonder if you have noticed. Prose in Shakespeare's time was reserved for the socially lower strata. and poetry was reserved for the socially upper strata. Now, in certain plays, Shakespeare used prose and poetry for the same characters. And I often wonder why he did that. Like Taming of the Shrew, you have heard of that play, Taming of the Shrew? Over there, the two characters, Petruchio and the girl, the shrew is Katharina. Now, when Petruchio was serenading Katharina, when he was quoting Katharina, he uses poetry. And once the marriage is over, they use prose. I wonder what that means. But, that is the peculiarity and that's the hilarity of the entire thing. But having said everything, Shakespeare is universal. Today, in the 21st century, he is just as relevant as he was in his time because he deals probably with abstractions like love, like life, like betrayal. So everything about Shakespeare is so relatable, even in India, even in the 21st century. That's why we love him so much. And Macbeth and King Lear are two of my personal favorites, I should say, apart from Hamlet. So, without further ado, I will step down now. I will leave the stage for the rest of the events to take place. So, thank you once again, girls, for putting this together. And I thank Madhumita, our very dynamic and able head of the department, for being there for all the students, Habib, Kumar, everyone in the department. They have been there like solid rocks behind the girls and in honing their talent, in honing their potentiality. So, without further ado, I'll step down now. So, God bless you all and all the best to all the actors of Shakespeare. May Shakespeare look upon us today. No.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your invigorating lecture. Now, without any delay, with all your permission, I would like to call up on a stage Sukanya Mukherjee, Surabhi Mojumdar, Shumita Dhigo, and Anjali Koyal to present their performance on Sonnet 18. Shakespeare wrote a lot of poems throughout his career. He published a quarto of 154 sonnets in 1609. Shakespearean sonnets explores the ideas of love, aging, beauty, time, lust, practical obligations, and feelings in completeness. The stability of love and its power to immortalize is the overreaching theme of this sonnet.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaves had all too short a day. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and obtains his gold complexion dim, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thine eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou wast, nor shall death break thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal life to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long live we
Thank you so much, all, for beautiful representation. Before going to the next segment, I would like to request our departmental head, Dr. Madhumita Mojumdar ma'am, to speak a few words for all of us.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Of course, like everyone else here, I am supremely excited. I'm waiting for the surprise that will unfold, gradually. There are just two things that I want to say. The choice of the plays, Macbeth and King Lear. We happen to be a women's university. Now, there have been performances of Shakespeare, and of course, the time when Shakespeare was writing, we do understand that tragedy happened to be more of a masculine genre. So, if you're talking about the grandeur is something that is not being given to the woman. So, if you talk about Lady Macbeth, if you talk about Cordelia, but with time, this is the adaptability of Shakespeare. That is why Shakespeare remains of all times and our times. I'm especially reminded of a performance by Lokendra Arabin and a part of the performance by Ratan Thayyam. Both of them happen to be Northeast playwrights of repute and, of course, have adapted Shakespeare widely, especially Macbeth. So there's this particular scene in Lokendra Arabin's play where there is one single character, that means one actor who plays both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. And there is a belt which is there around, which shows, this gender transformation. So if it is being tied around, it is Macbeth. So if it is being let loose, it is Lady Macbeth. Ratan Thayyam had said Macbeth is about corruption. So we are moving on to the world 2020. We have talked about my share of the world, our share of the world. So what happens with women in power? Can women have power? Do they have legitimate right to power? And if they have power, can they actually stand up to it? So society has been hesitant to acknowledge. So of course it is a tragedy of Macbeth. We talk about his fall and everything is there. But then Lady Macbeth is somebody who cannot handle the aspiration and the ambition. But Macbeth can stand at the end of the play and say, I will not yield the ground before young Malcolm. So that's the difference. So, therefore, playwrights like, because I was talking about Lokendra and I was talking about Ratan Thayyam, both of them talk about, power which is genderless. I find the experiences of playing the witches liberating. The question is, who are the witches? And why is only the woman the witch? Why is this category being given to her? The hat, the broom that is quintessentially associated with the witch. If you go back to the medieval times, this would be the cloth that would be worn by those women wine sellers. So from business women to this category, so are you trying to deconstruct women? Are you trying to deconstruct them in terms of economic and other power, is also a question that we should answer. King Lear, of course, I think is a wonderful play which talks about the legitimacy of power. King Lear begins by not uniting a nation, but dividing the nation because he believes in that way he will be able to retain his hold. So he's King Lear. So his three daughters, especially the two older ones, wish to rule, but they ultimately must succumb to a tragic end because women, can they be rulers? And these were the times of James I, and one Queen Elizabeth was not changing the destiny or the history of women and power. Recently, there has been a Turkish adaptation of, these were a group of women, who happened to come from the rural Turkish area, and this play was called Queen Lear, an adaptation of Lear. I do not understand Turkish, but of course, in translation, the script that was made available, it is there on the YouTube if you would want to see. It has one sentence, there is this Queen Lear who sits beside, on the seashore, and she says, I give my kingdom to my daughter. So, for claiming our kingdoms, for claiming our lives, So let us use the spirit and the power of Shakespeare to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for delivering such valuable words. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Oindila Ghosh ma'am to come up on stage and share a few words with us.
Thank you, Toyanjali. But I thought this was your day. I thought it was a program to be hosted by my girls, for which we have been waiting for a very long time. And I feel a little guilty also because this was supposed to be on 26th of April, got postponed for several reasons, including me not turning up on that day. So I'm really excited. And thankfully, this is not a class day, so I'm not going to lecture. So, just a few things. My very esteemed colleagues have said a lot about Shakespeare. I feel a little deficient talking about teaching and adapting Shakespeare because there have been lot of notable critics and writers who have been teaching and talking about Shakespeare. But what I want to express my happiness that you've chosen this date to finally perform Shakespearean plays, and one of them, my favorites, Macbeth. And why this is a happy day for me, maybe for all of you once you get to know, is yesterday we have just celebrated the 182nd birthday of Thomas Hardy. And we must know that as the right note was struck by my colleague Dr. Aparna Singh when she opened this program, that Shakespeare is of all ages. So, and because every age, every period claims Shakespeare in their own way, and the Victorians especially were amply influenced by Shakespeare, and especially Hardy. So Hardy is sometimes called a very, very Shakespearean author, and I would just want to inform you and share with you that he had written a poem on Shakespeare, dedicating a poem on Shakespeare after 300 years of his birth. And I just want to read one tiny extract where Hardy is trying to say that how we all try to claim Shakespeare, we all think that we have decoded Shakespeare and we have sort of owned him and made him our own, but how he still remains unfathomable. Just one tiny paragraph and stanza from the poem, which is called After 300 Years, dedicated to Shakespeare, and just one tiny stanza. Bright, baffling soul, least capturable of themes, thou, who displayedst a life of commonplace, leaving no intimate word or personal trace of high design outside the artistry of thy penned dreams, shall remain at heart unread eternally. It's a long poem. If you're interested, you can always read on your own. So this idea of unfathomable Shakespeare, the idea of everybody trying to decode Shakespeare, everybody trying to read and understand Shakespeare, and also a very interesting thing that Dr. Mojumdar said about the coming of the women from the peripheries to the center that we are trying to do through the rereading of Shakespeare. That is where the efficacy of the author and how each age, including our own, is still decoding. And it has been a pleasure to sort of guide a few students this time for term papers who have tried to decode Shakespeare in their own way. So it's a very, very enriching kind of experience in every way. And I am rather looking forward to what you all have to sort of present to us, and that would be a kind of your interpretation of especially Macbeth and of course Lear. So all the best, girls, and I hope to have a very wonderful time watching you all. Thank you.
Proceeding to the next event, we will now take a look on the plays written by William Shakespeare. The entire gamut of Shakespearean plays consists of 39 plays, substituted by both tragedies and comedies. Today, we are going to experience two of his most celebrated tragedies, King Lear and Macbeth. King Lear stands like a colossus at the center of Shakespeare's achievements. The play was composed sometime between 1603 and 1606 and first published in 1608. As far as its social range is concerned, it encircles the entire society, whereas its emotional range extends from the extreme violence to the impassioned intimacy of the affectionate reconciliation between Lear and Cordelia. Therefore, King Lear is one of the best tragedies composed by William Shakespeare. Though it is a full-filled age play, we will present the abridged version of it, through which we try to present some major portion of it in order to put forward the crux of the play within the limited span of time. Shilpa, please come here.
Hello. Good afternoon to everyone. Lear, the aging daughter, the king of Britain, decides to step down from the throne and divide his kingdom evenly among his three daughters. First, however, he puts his daughters through a test, asking each to tell him how much she loves him.
Know that we have divided in three our kingdom, and it's our first intent to take all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we unburnt crawl toward death. Tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, cares of state, which of you shall we say doth love us most? That we, our largest bounty may extend where nature doth with merit challenge. Goneril, our eldest born, speak first.
Sire, I love you. more than what can wield the matter, dearer than eyesight, space and liberty, beyond what can be valued, rich or rare, no less than life, with grace, health, beauty, honor, as much as child ever loved, or father found. I love it that makes breath poor and speech unable. Beyond all the manner of so much, I love you.
What shall Cordelia speak? Love and be silent.
Our dearest Reagan, wife of Colonel, speak.
I am made of that self-metal as my sister, and prize me at her own. In my true heart I find the name for fairy tale of love. Only she comes to sort that I profess myself and eliminate all other joys, who is the most precious coir of sense possesses, and find I am alone felicited in your dear highness's love.
Then poor Cordelia, and yet not so, since I am sure my love is more ponderous than my tongue.
Now, a joy, although last and least, to whose young love the vines of France and milks of Burgundy strive to be interest. What can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak.
Nothing, my lord,
Nothing.
nothing.
Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again.
Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less.
How, Cordelia? Mayn't you speak a little, lest you may mar your fortunes?
Good my lord, you have begot me, bred me, loved me. I return those duties back as a right fit. Obey you, love you, and most honor you. Why have my sisters husbands if they say they love you all? Haply, whence I shall wed that Lord, whose hand must take my plight, shall carry half my love with him, half my care and duty. Sure, I shall never marry like my sisters, to love my father all.
But goes thy heart with this?
I, my good lord,
So young and so untender.
so young, my lord, and true.
Lear flies into a rage and disowns Cordelia. The king of France, who has courted Cordelia, says that he still wants to marry her, even without her land, and she accompanies him to France without her father's blessing.
This is so strange. Let's see. Whom even but now was your best object, the argument of your praise, palm of your age, the best, the dearest, should in the strides of time could come into think so monstrous to dismantle so many folds of favor.
I yet beseech your majesty, if for I want that glib and oily art to speak, and purpose not, since what I well intend, I will do it before I speak, that you make known it is no vicious blot, murder, or foulness that hath deprived me of your grace and favor. A still soliciting eye and such a tongue, that I am glad I have not, though not to have it hath lost me in your liking.
Better thou hadst not been born. that not have pleased me better.
The jewels of her father? With worst eyes, Cordelia leaves you. I know you what you are, and like a sister am most loath to call your faults as they are named. Love will our father. So farewell to you both.
Prescribe not us our duty.
Late you study to be content, your lord. Who hath received you at fortune's arms? You have obedience granted, and oiler oath the one that you have wanted.
Time shall unfold what plighted cunning hides. Who covers faults at last with shame derides. Well may you prosper.
Come, my fair Cordelia.
Sister, it is not little I have to say of what most nearly appertains to us both. I think our father will hence tonight.
That's most sudden. And with you. Next month, with us.
You see how full of changes his age is. The observation we have made of it hath not been little. He always loved our sister most, and with what poor judgment he hath not cast her off, appears too grossly.
It is the infirmity of his age. Yet he hath ever but slenderly known himself.
The best and soundest of his time hath been but rash. Then must we look from his age to receive not alone the imperfections of long engraft condition, but herewithal the unruly, waywardness that infirm and choleric words bring with them.
Such unconstant starts are we like to have from him, as this of Cain's banishment.
There is further compliment of leave taking between France and him. Pray you, let us sit together. If our father carry authority with such disposition as he bears, this last surrender of his will but offend us.
We shall further think of it.
We must do something, and in the heat.
Meanwhile, an elderly nobleman named Gloucester also experiences family problems. His illegitimate son, Edmund, tricks him into believing that his legitimate son, Edgar, is trying to kill him. Fleeing the manhunt that his father has set for him, Edgar disguises himself as a crazy beggar and calls himself Poor Tom. Like Lear, he heads out onto the hill. When the loyal Gloucester realizes that Lear's daughters have turned against their father, he decides to help Lear in spite of the dangers. Regan and her husband Cornwall discover him helping Lear.
him instantly. Pluck out his eyes, accuse him of treason, blind him, and turn him out to wander the countryside.
Because I would not see thy cruel nails pluck out his poor old eyes, not thy fair sister. In his anointed flesh sticks bore his fangs. The sea, with such a storm as his bare head, in hell black night endured, would have bowed up and quenched the still fire. Yet poor old heart, he hold the heavens to rain. If wolves had at thy gate howled at the stern time, thou shouldst have said, Good potter, turn the key, all quills will subscribe. But I shall see the winged vigilance overtakes the children.
The despairing Gloucester tries to commit suicide, but Edgar saves him by pulling the strange trick of leading him off an imaginary cliff. Meanwhile, in Dover, a French army lands as part of an invasion led by Cordelia. In an effort to save her father, the English troops reach Dover, and the English, led by Edmund, defeat the Cordelia led French. Lear and Cordelia are captured. Lear quickly learns that he made a bad decision. Goneril and Regan swiftly begin to undermine the little authority that Lear still holds. Unable to believe that his beloved daughters are betraying him, Lear slowly goes insane.
Ah, Goneril with the white beard that patted me like a dog and told me I had the white hairs in my beard. All the black ones were there to say I and no to everything that I said. I and no towards no good divinity.
Oh, my dear father, restoration hand, thy medicine on my lips, and let this case repair those violent harms that my two sisters have in thy reverence name.
Where have I been? Where am I? Dear delight. I am mightily abused. I should even die with pity to see another thus. I know not what to say. I will not share these are my hands. Let's see. I feel this pain-free. Would I were assured of my condition?
Oh, look upon me, son, look upon me, and hold your hand in benediction over me. No, sir, no, you must not kneel.
Pray, do not mock. I am a very foolish and fond of men. Fourscore and a whole. Not an hour more, nor less, and deal plainly. I fear I am not in my perfect mind. Do not laugh at me, for as I am a man, I think this lady to be my child, Cordelia.
And so I am.
Be your dear sweet? Yes. Faith, I pray weep not. If you have poison for me, I will drink it. I know you do not love me, but your sisters have, as I to remember, done me wrong. You have some cause.
No cause.
They
No
have
cause.
not.
No cause.
You must bear with me. Pray you now, forget and forgive. I am old and foolish. Upon such sacrifice, my Cordelia, the gods themselves throw incense. Why, nine eyes? The good years shall devour them. Place and flail, all they shall make us weep. We will them start first. Come.
Goneril has already poisoned Regan in their jealous rivalry over Edmund's attention. Edgar, disguised now as a loyal knight, challenges Edmund to a duel and wounds him mortally. Seeing no way out, Goneril kills herself, and the dying Edmund confesses his misdeeds and releases Cordelia. However, it is too late to see Cordelia from the hangman. Lear's heart breaks as he carries the body of his beloved youngest daughter in his arms.
Ow! 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 Oh, you are made of stones, and I your tongues, and I would use them so that heaven's balls would crack. Say it gone forever. I know when one is dead and when one lives, it's dead as a. Lend me a looking glass. If that her breath will mix or stain the stone, why, then she lives. This weather starts. She lives. If it be so, it's a chance which does redeem all sorrows that ever I have felt. A plague upon you, murderers, traitors all! I might have saved her. Now she's gone forever. Cordelia, Cordelia, stay a little. Ah, what is thou sayest? Her voice was ever soft, gentle, and low, and excellent thing in woman. I killed the slave that was hanging thee, and my poor fool is hanged. No, no, no life. Why should a dog, a horse, and rat have life, and thou no breathe at all? Thou it come no more. Never, 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 never. Pray you undo this button. Thank you, sir. Did you see this? Look, look at her. Look, her lips. Look there. Look there.
King Lear is a play about blindness. Blindness to others' motivations, blindness to one's own true nature, blindness to the emptiness of power and privilege, and blindness to the importance of selfless love. Lear's only desire is to enjoy a comfortable, carefree old age, but he fails to see the role his absolute power has played in shaping his relationship with his daughters, whom he expects to take care of him. Once he loses his power, Lear gains insight into his own nature and realizes his shortcomings. Tragically, this self knowledge comes too late at a point when Lear has forfeited the power that might have enabled him to change his fate. He finally sees the world as it really is, but is powerless to do anything about it, and he dies. Participants were King Lear by Prerana Pal, voice over by Monideepa Shantra, Cordelia by Angona Purkai, voice over by Ananya Mondal, Goneril by Anjali Koyal, voice over by Twanjali Panda, Regan Farhin Misri, voice over by Kollani Shashmal, France Rikta Bank, voice over by Shukarna Mukherjee, Gloucester Rimpa Patro, voice over by Prerana Pal, props made by Rimpa Patro. Moving forward, now I would like to request Kumaraditya Sharkar sir to come up with a few words on this special day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a very beautiful and heartwarming performance. And without saying much, I think I should be looking forward to the next performance. But since you have requested me to say a few words, remember what Vidya Balan in the character of Sri Smita had to say: entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. After all these years of Shakespeare, Shakespeare lies in the truest sense the king of entertainment. Because if you think of the highest grossing commercially successful film, that might have had a run of maybe 30 or 40 or even 50 years. Think of Sholay, think of the most successful commercial films. Shakespeare still runs live even today all over the world, even after, over 400 years of his death. So forget all the aesthetics, forget all the academic critiques and all. From Shakespeare, we can learn how to do business, how to make a booming business that was theater. It was a new business and a booming industry at that point of time, and how to take it to the pinnacle of it, how to make money without, from nothing, and still make such good plays, with being so commercially successful. If you think of the witches, if you think of the stage props, most of them were done probably keeping in mind the groundlings who would be entertained by the witches. So they are like, for the same reason, today the Bollywood movies have songs and dance sequences. So from this man, I would reserve all the aesthetics and all critical studies for all the scholars and for classroom discussions. But today is a day of fun. So I would repeatedly say that from this man, we should all learn how to have fun and how to deliver entertainment to everyone out there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so let the entertainment begin.
Thank you so much, sir, for delivering this beautiful speech. Now, I would like to request Malushree Mondal ma'am for sharing some words with us. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, girls, for this beautiful performance. I remember the day when you told me, ma'am, that day you have to come. We all give you the surprise. I am really surprised, overwhelmed, and excited to be more surprised. All the best. And I'm not saying more, anything more. Today, I'm waiting for your next performances. All the best. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable lecture. Shakespeare's work are famous for their symbolism and essential details. These literary devices help readers understand a character or a scene better. The tragedy Othello is not an expectation. The play is an example of the profound and effective use of emphatic devices, including foreshadowing. Its significant role is to warn the readers about what may happen further with the help of symbols and signs. Desdemona's willow song is one of the most crucial foreshadowing symbols. Willow is a tree growing near water. It is related to tears and loss. The symbolic meaning of the willow tree is essential for the image of the character, being a symbol of a woman left by her love. Willow is the reflection of Desdemona, so I would like to call Sukanya Mukherjee, Surabhi Mojumdar, Shushmita Dhivo, and Anjali Goyal on the stage.
The poor soul sat sighing by a sycamore tree, singing willow, 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 willow. Her hand in her bosom, her head on her knee. Oh, willow, 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 willow. She shied in her singing and made a great moan. Sing willow, 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 willow. I am dead to all pleasure, my true love is gone. Oh, willow, 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 shall be my garden. Come all you forsaken, and mourn you with me. Sing willow, 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 willow. Who speaks of a false love, mine's falser than his. Oh, willow, 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 shall be my garden. Let nobody chide her cause I approve. Sing willow, 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 willow. He was born to be false, and I die for his love. Oh, willow, 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 shall be my garden. Take this for my farewell and latest adieu. Sing willow, 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 willow. Write this on my tongue, that love I was true. Oh, willow, 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 shall be my garden.
Thank you so much all for this amazing performance.
Very happy to see my promotion here. Okay. I'm really happy, especially to see such a performance right now, because this is my first performance I could see here being performed by the students here. What makes me think about today's program is that we have seen Shakespeare, especially as somebody who is in an intellectual engagement, especially where we could see the scholars and teachers and faculty we have seen. They have tried to understand Shakespeare in different ways. But what is most interesting for me is that we have almost 453 universities, the state universities especially. We have almost 54 central universities. We have almost 126 deemed to be universities. And also we have 410 near above the private universities. So what interesting thing is that each and in all, almost in all these universities, the students have tried to recreate Shakespeare, especially on the stage. Okay, so we could see a lot of research, especially in Shakespeare, but very few research we could see from the point of view of Shakespeare receptions at the level of the students, especially. And that is quite very interesting. And the way they have diversified, especially the students, because without any much support or help, without having much knowledge about Shakespeare and his time, without having much knowledge about the theater, especially, they are able to recreate Shakespeare on the stage. That is something very interesting, and it shows that how Shakespeare is very close to us, and that's the reason that I think in most of the universities we always celebrate the birth anniversary of this particular of this playwright especially. Okay, so the kind of performance that I could see here right now is really very much interesting, especially, and also we are waiting for another one. So I hope that the next performance on Macbeth also will also equally entertain us. And with this, I just once again thank to all of you, the organizing team, especially the students who have taken especially they have spared the time, even though the semester exam is also approaching, but even then they have tried to do something best. So thank you so much to all of you for organizing this program, and I hope that you'll also keep on entertaining us the way you are doing today also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your invigorating lecture. Now we will go back to another of Shakespeare's play, Macbeth.
Good afternoon to all. Macbeth was written by William Shakespeare between 1603 and 1606, between Caesar and Hamlet. It is the story of a murderer and usurper, like Richard III or Claudius, from crime to crime to achieve security. When Macbeth was first seen around 1606, its subject matter was highly topical. King James I was on the throne. The use of the supernatural and of conventions associated with the contemporary theatre, such as people speaking in verse, soliloquies, aside, witches, ghosts, a dumb show, and a severed head was very much of its time. Macbeth explains that the text of the play, known today the shortest of Shakespeare's tragedies, is believed to be an adaptation by Thomas Middleton. Although Macbeth is a historical tragedy, it is also a kind of parable that can easily be related to very different areas of human life.
When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurlyburly is done, when the battle's lost and won, that will be at the set of sun, where the flames up in the hill, that to meet with Macbeth. Foul is foul and foul is fair. Holy cloud the wall and the filthy
Oh, so foul and fair a day I have not seen.
How far it's gone to forest? What are these? So withered and so wild in their attire that look not like the inhabitants of the earth. And yet, are on it. Live you, or are you aught that man may question? You seem to understand me. My each at once her choppy fingers laying upon her skinny lips. You should be woman, and yet your beards forbid me to interrupt that you are so.
Speak, speak if you can. What are you?
Hey!
Greek speakers? Tell me more. By Sinel's death, I know I am Thane of Glamis. But how of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor lives, a prosperous gentleman, and to be king stands not within the prospect of belief, no more than to be Cawdor. Say, from whence you wore this strange intelligence, or why upon this blasted head you stop our way with such prophetic greeting? Speak! Speak! I charge you!
The letter announces Macbeth's promotion to the Thainship of Cawdor and details his meeting with the witches. Lady Macbeth murmurs that she knows Macbeth is ambitious, but fears he is too full of the milk of human kindness to take the steps necessary to make himself king. Lady Macbeth's reaction when she reads her husband's letter is powerful and dramatic. As soon as she is finished reading, she has decided she will make sure Macbeth is king. It's as if she and her husband are thinking exactly the same thing.
Oh, my dearest love, Duncan can't say tonight.
And one goes hence.
Tomorrow? As he purposes?
Oh, never shall sun that morrow see your face, my pen, is as a book where men may read the strange matter.
We will speak. Father,
Only look up clear. Try to favor ever is to fear. Leave all rest to me.
Duncan's speech on his arrival at Inverness is heavy with dramatic irony. Not only is the seat of the castle pleasant, but even the air is sweeter than the to which the king is accustomed. King Duncan admires the castle's location. This castle hath a pleasant seat. The air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses.
See our honored hostess.
All ourselves, in every point twice done, and then done double. We're poor and single business to content, against those honored deep and broad wherewith your majesty loads our house.
Where is Thane of Cawdor? We cast him at the hills and had a purpose to be his purveyor. But he rides well, and his great love, sharp as his spur, hath helped him to his home before us. Fair and noble hostess, we are your guests tonight. Give me your hand, conduct me to mine host. We love him highly and shall continue our caresses towards him. By your leave, hostess.
The internal struggle within Macbeth regarding whether or not to kill the king causes his dilemma, and this is further exaggerated through the central concerns of the battle of good and evil, the fall of man, equivocation and loyalty versus ambition. Macbeth declares that he no longer intends to kill Duncan. Lady Macbeth outraged.
When you trust to do it, then you were a man. And more than that, what you were, you would be so much more than a man.
Macbeth stabs Duncan. He comes back, covered in blood and still holding the murder weapons. It's as if he's in shock. Not only does the thought of killing Duncan cause Macbeth to hallucinate, but also, after having ordered the murder of Banquo, his guilt-stricken conscience causes him to see Banquo's ghost, and at this point, Macbeth is losing his sanity.
Baby! See there! Behold! Behold! Look! No! How say you? Why? What did I? If thou canst not speak to, if Colonel houses and our graves must say in the bush that we body back, our monument shall be the mode of kites.
A waiting gentlewoman attended on the lady of the house, and spent her time in close quarters with her. She informed a doctor to have a visit in the castle. Not only Macbeth, but also Lady Macbeth can't find any rest, but suffering clearly from a psychological disorder, to recall fragments of the events of the murder of Duncan, Banquo, and Lady Macduff.
I have seen her rise from her bed, throw her nightgown upon her, unlock her closet, take forth paper, fold it, write upon it, read it, afterwards again seal it, and again return to bed. Yet all this while in a most fast sleep.
What is it? She does now. Look! 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 She has her hand! Yet, here is spot. Here is spot. Out! Out! Spot! Out! Do you rather than this time to do this mockery? Fly! Fly, my lord, fly! Soldier and a friend. What need we? Who knows it? Who knows it? When none call, about to count. Yet, who would have thought
Third man. Third man have had so much blood in him. Too bad, too bad, too bad. There is knocking at the gate. Come, 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 give me your hand. Give me your hand. Give your hand. What is done cannot be undone. What is done cannot be undone. Undone. For worshipping or abroad, unnatural deed. To breathe unnatural trouble, infected minds. To give their billows, discharge their secret. More needs she the divine and the physician. God forgive us all. Look after her. Remove from her means of all annoyance. And still keep eyes upon her. So, good night. Good night. My mind she has made it, and amazed my sight. I think, but dare not to speak. That's all. Thank you, everyone.
Splendid performance to all of you. The participants are Macbeth, Lopamutra Noshkor, voice over by Monideepa Shantra. Lady Macbeth, Debolina Ghoshal, voice over by Srishti Ganguly. Bango, Apurna Shatpati, voice over by Debolina Ghoshal. Duncan, Monideepa Shantra, voice over by Lopamutra Noshkor. First Witch, Nasrina Khatun, voice over by Srishti Ganguly. Second Witch, Sritikana Ghorami, voice over by Debolina Ghoshal. Third Witch, Tanushree Shashmal, voice over by Srishti Ganguly. Doctor, voice over by Srishti Ganguly. Gentle Omen, Lopamutra Noshkor. And narrator, Surabhi Mujumdar. Props made by Mehuli Patro and Mritika Sardar.
Mehuli and Mritika.
Please add that is something that Mritika has given us. The Shakespeare. Mritika, please hold it.
You cannot, because you cannot take it out.
No, just hold it, stand beside it.
Stand beside
One extra clap for that.
Absolutely.
It's been wonderful.
So, we have reached almost the end of today's program. Now, I would like to pass the mic to Mehuli for delivering vote of thanks to one and all present here.
Before the vote of thanks, can I say a word?
I know that time is short, and I know that this second coming of mine on the stage was not scheduled, but I just could not help myself. I need to give a big round of applause to you girls. I never knew that you're so talented. and well done. It's been beautiful. I just enjoyed every moment of sitting there and watching you guys perform. And I was just wondering, in Shakespeare's time, there were no women who used to play on stage. There were only men actors, and even the women were played by boys who were around 14 to 22 of age. And see how the roles have been reversed now. Today, there are no men involved, and the girls have done such a fabulous job. And any man could be put to shame over there in your portrayal of. And Monideepa, the way you were, your voice modulation, wonderful. Girl. So proud of you. So proud.
Thank you, ma'am, for the encouragement. Respected ma'am, sir, and my dear friends, it has been a wonderful day for all of us. Semester 4 and Semester 2 students feel humbled, excited, and joyous to have come together to mark the Shakespeare's Day finally. It has all been about team effort, some brainstorming, and some tips, of course. But most importantly, a learning experience that we always will remain in our hearts forever. On behalf of our team, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our VC ma'am, who as our guardian is supportive of all our endeavors. Registrar sir for being encouraging of all our efforts. HOD ma'am for initiating and spearheading the idea of organizing the Shakespeare's Day. I would like to thank Oprajita ma'am for always being so encouraging. Angela ma'am for being an support always. Kumar Aditya sir just not only helping us through the performance but rehearsing as well with us. Habib sir for bearing with us and being with us all through as we practiced yesterday and giving us a patient hearing. Manushree ma'am for helping us with our magical voice and musical, helping us through our musical portions. And Aparna ma'am for helping us with anchoring and necessary corrections to our script. Needless to say, our teachers have our all-round development in their mind, and we cannot thank you enough for your love and support. I would like to thank all my friends who worked in the presentation and those who worked in silence behind the scenes. I would like to thank the non-teaching staff as well of the university for helping us. Thank you very much.
Shall we put up? In broadcast.